I figured it out on my own. I ain't had no OG. I ain't had nobody come and show me. Feeling one of one, I know that they can't clone me. On everything, I did this to my homie. On everything.
Hey y'all. Good morning. Get my lighting right. Good morning, y'all. I'm going to invite some people today because... Hey y'all, good morning. Come and talk to me. I'm adding people today because hey y'all, I'm trying to add people. Let me see. I'm new to this thing. Hey y'all, good morning. Come and talk to me. Come talk to me for a minute or whatever. Good morning. This is Secret Location Edition. Good morning, everybody. Grand Rising. Hey, you guys. Hey, you guys. Oh, I'm trying to invite people. Give me 1 second. People be fussing at me when when they don't know I'm on. Hey, you guys. Give me a second. I'm trying to invite some people. Good morning. Today we are talking about toxic energy signatures. Yes. Who else? Who else should I invite? Give me a second, y'all. I'm just inviting people. Good morning, y'all. Good morning. I'm trying to invite some people. Give me 1 second. 1 second. Let me see. Hey, y'all. Good morning. Or whatever. Okay. So, we about to get started. Hey, y'all. Hey. So, we about to get started or whatever. Let me turn my music down. But I still gotta have a little bit of music. Let me turn it down, though. Hey, y'all. Good morning. This is Secret Location Edition. How is everybody? Hey, you guys. Heart me up or whatever. Yes. Show me some love. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you. Good morning. So today we are talking about... Hey, boo. Hi, Wednesday. Hey, you guys. So I'm not talking to y'all long because I'm sitting on this Hey, boo. Show me some love or whatever. This is Secret Location Edition. How is everybody? I'm so happy to see y'all. Or whatever. It's always a pleasure to come on here and talk to y'all in the morning. Hey. I'm sounding a little hoarse, right? I may have to do a meditation, clear my throat chakra. How are y'all? Heart me up or whatever. Yes. I love you guys so much. I love you guys so much. So, today I want to talk to you guys. Oh my God, y'all are making me blush. Good morning. Good morning. Okay, I can concentrate now. I can't concentrate with all the hearts, but then I'm saying heart me up, right? Hey, you guys. Good morning. Good morning, Grand Rising, right? Grand Rising. Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming to hang out with me. I'm going to go ahead and get started. First of all, thanks for coming to hang out with me. I hope you guys had a good weekend. How was everybody's weekend? Talk to me. Good morning, Richie. Y'all want me to shout y'all out? Y'all want me to say y'all names or whatever? Wendy, good morning. Richie, good morning. Hey, you guys. There's a whole bunch of y'all on here with me. Thanks for coming to hang out with me, Mr. Davis, Mr. Cameron, Mr. Ward. Who else we got? We got Jazz on the mic. Jazz Ferris is on the mic. Hey, you guys. Good morning. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So y'all know I'm coming on here with something positive. So if you like what I have to say, share the video. Good morning. Thanks for coming to hang out with me. I love you too. So today I want to talk to you guys about toxic energy. There go my boo, Mr. Hype Man, my hype man, my hype man, my hype man, my hype man, Mr. Fleming, my hype man or whatever in the morning. Hey, y'all better show me some love. Hype me up or whatever. Hey, good morning, you guys. Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for coming to hang out with me. So today we are talking about toxic energy signatures, right? So a lot of times I come to you guys and I talk about toxic relationships. Thank you. Heart me up. Share the video or whatever. A lot of times I come to you guys and we are talking about relationships and toxic relationships, and I see a lot of people, I get inboxes and people are really struggling in their relationships, right? So I want to talk to you guys a little bit about how it is that we end up getting stuck in these relationships, because you guys know that I just want to be a light in the dark, right? Grand Rising. You guys know I want to be a light in the dark, right? Help us through some of these tests and trials that we're going through, give you a cheat sheet or whatever, so that we can get out of these cycles much quicker, because our toxic cycles are there to teach us something, right? But then also at the same time, a lot of times they stunt our creative growth. It affects our finances. They affect our families, right? Because a lot of times they try to thank you. They try to keep us away from our family, isolate us away from our family, and all of that stuff, right? Ain't nobody got time for that in the 2020. So I am here to be a light in the dark. I am here to be a light in the dark, so that we can talk about some of this stuff, and so we can get through these cycles a lot quicker, right? So with toxic relationships, a lot of times we end up entangled in them because we don't realize that the person that we are with has the same toxic energy signature as our parents, right? Our toxic parents, or our toxic people that have been in our lives, right? Who haven't treated us properly. They didn't validate us like they should, so they created a lot of self-doubt, right? They did a lot of things that were self-serving, and they expected us to basically deny our feelings and serve them, right? So they created people pleasers. So here we are out here, empaths, with all this love that we want to give, and we are getting involved with people who are, we can call them karmics, right? We can call them karmic relationships because they're there to teach us a lesson, or we can call them toxic relationships if you want to, because there's a whole lot of toxic stuff that's going on in the relationship, such as gaslighting, projecting, lying, a lot of things that just kind of like scramble our brain. Good morning. I have this thing of giving too much of myself that is that good or bad? Well, let's talk about it, okay? So, is it bad? Is it to your detriment? My mom raised me to be a people pleaser. Yes, a lot of us are people pleasers, right? And with that, we find ourselves staying in relationships. I hope you guys can see me good. We find ourselves in relationships with people who we are trying to fix them, right? So let's be honest. A lot of us out here, we is some fixing mugs, right? We're fixers. Good morning, Mr. Cunningham. Good morning, Mr. Clark. Hey, y'all. Heart me up. Share the video or whatever. We are talking about toxic energy signatures, right? And how it is that we end up trapped with these toxic men or toxic women, right? A lot of my viewers are males, and men struggle just like women do, right? Men struggle in their relationships just like women do, and men get in relationships with women that are not healthy for them just like women do, right? So we're not differentiating, right, on Queen TV or whatever. We're not differentiating, and we're not we're not saying men always do this and women always do that. We're not doing that, right? We're taking responsibility for ourselves, right? Responsibilities for the choices that we make and the boundaries that we put in place. Boundaries are very, very important. Hey, good morning, Mr. Jaleel. Hey, Abdul. How are you? Good morning. We are talking about toxic energy signatures and how it is that we find ourselves in these relationships with these toxic women and these toxic men, right? A lot of times we are raised by people that are narcissistic, right? Or very low vibe people. They teach us to be people pleasers. How do they teach us to be people pleasers? Because when we are young, we is little people, right? We are little peoples. We are little people, and we are being forced to deal with adult issues, right? We are forced to deal with adults that are, hey, Dubai is in the house. Well, I am broadcasting from a secret location because I just had to hop on a flight or whatever, clear my mind. So I am broadcasting from a secret location. Good morning, Mr. Alexander. So we end up with these people who actually, what they do is they match the energy signature of the people that raised us, right? They match the energy signatures of the people in our lives that have been narcissistic, right? So there is a part of us that feels at home, which is crazy, right? There's a part of us that feels at home because that's what we know. Hey, Mr. Mac, born intelligence. Hey, boo. We are programmed to be people pleasers when we're young because as young people, we are responsible for adults, right? We're responsible for adult behavior, and we're responsible for taking on adult emotions. They got us taking on their shit. It ain't even ours, and we taking on their shit, right? As little people, right? That shaped us into who we are today as adults. So a lot of times, narcissistic people are only able to access us through our inner child, right? So we talked about having that little person inside that is probably stunted at growth from whatever it is that happened to you, right? Sorry, y'all, my butt is hurting on this concrete. So, we get used to these toxic energy signatures because that's how we were raised, and basically that's what we know, right? So we end up in relationships with people who love us, and basically what they do is come in, they are putting us up on a pedestal. They are making us feel like we are the provider, we are the king, we are their savior. Whatever it is that they have to do in order to basically validate that inner child that didn't get validated whenever we were young. And when we didn't get validation when we were young, we grow up with a lot of self-doubt, right? And we have a very overactive self-critic on the inside. And that self-critic is not talking nice to us, right? So we tend to be with people who at the very beginning, they validate everything that it is that we are, right? Thank you for the hearts. They validate who we are as a person, right? They make us feel really great about ourselves because this is systematic, right? It's the love bomb blitz. So what they do, they come in and they love on our inner child, right? That's how we get trapped, guys, okay? They come in and they love on that inner child, that broken part of us, right? That part of us that needs to be validated because we weren't validated as a child like we should have been, right? So they come in, they validate that part of us. They make us feel like it's us against the world. They make us feel like they understand us. Hey, Mel Gunna. Thank you. Thank you, guys. So they come in and they make us feel like we are just like everything, right? We feel like the savior. We feel really great. Thank you for the hearts. I appreciate it. I love you guys. And they make us feel really great about ourselves, right? So this is just the beginning. This is systematic, like I said. Hey, this is systematic, like I said. Thank you, Abdul. So they trap us because they make us feel like they're here for us. We can trust them. They remind us of the toxic energy signature of our parents or those that raised us, people in our family. If we had people in our family that were very narcissistic, right? So a lot of times what we do is we get into a relationship with one of our toxic parents. So if your dad was toxic, you end up with a female that acted like your dad did. And if your mom was toxic, you end up with a female that acts like your mom did, right? So what does that look like? So say if you were like somebody who had a very overbearing mom figure in your life, right? And if your emotions weren't valid, gaslighting, right? Made you feel as if your emotions weren't valid. So you grow up and you have issues with being able to express your emotions. You feel like when you express your emotions that people really don't care what it is that you have to say. So guess what? You don't express your emotions. Because it's just easier. It's just easier to be silent, right? It's more comfort in the silence, right? So, those are some of the ways that it comes out in a relationship. And we go and get in a relationship with our overbearing parent or our neglectful father or something of that nature, right? Us as women, if we had a dad that was neglectful or wasn't emotionally available, what do? We end up messing with guys that are emotionally unavailable too. Thank you, guys. Hey, good morning. Yes, and sometimes we look for, oh my God, Alfred, can you say it again? Can you type it again? Can you type it again? We most definitely are looking for someone else to fix. We want to fix them, right? Why do we want to fix them? Why do we want to fix them? Because they make us feel good, right? They make us feel validated in a way that we weren't whenever we were young. And we need that validation because it comes out as an adult when we don't have it. It can come out as having a very big ego, right? You're unable to, and you have a very big ego. Why? Because you had to pump yourself up, right? Because nobody was there to do it for you whenever you were a little person, right? Or you didn't have enough people in your life that validated who you were. So guess what? You had to pump yourself up. So your ego is huge. It is. It is what it is though, right? It is what it is though, right? So we had to pump ourselves up. So some of us have really big egos because of that, right? But we not shading nobody because we're going to get this shit together. We not shading anybody because we're going to get this shit together, okay? So we end up a lot of times getting and connecting ourselves with somebody who has the same toxic energy signature as those that raised us or our parents. Now, as you guys know, like until you get really gifted, you can't really see energy, right? So we don't realize that we're connecting with a toxic energy signature because it's something that we can't see. But internally, it feels like home. Crazy, right? Internally, it feels like home because that's what we remember when we were being raised. That toxicity, right? So we get with this person. It's called the love bomb blitz. I heard somebody break it down like that this weekend. And basically, they make us feel very validated at the beginning of the relationship. Hey, no, I'm not married. Yet, because I'm going to speak that thing. I'm manifesting that into my life because that's what I want, right? Okay, so sending love out to my twin. I love you. So anyway, so we grow up, and a lot of times we get into relationships with people that have the same time. Hey, hi Niecy, with your gorgeous self. Good to see you. So we are talking about how we end up in these toxic relationships. And how it sucks. And because they come in and they validate something that's missing in us from our childhood, right? We're not shading parents, but we're being honest about the things that we may have missed, right? So some of us may have had a really great mom, but we may have had a dad. Hey, y'all, good morning. We may have had a dad that may not have been emotionally available, right? Hey, boo, Deaconess Cuddlefoot coming on here to hang out with me. Hey, boo. Because some energies make us comfortable, yes, enough to allow them to stay connected. That is very, very true. That's what Deaconess Cuddlefoot said. The ambiance sets in and the lore is real. And that is so true, you guys. So we're stuck. And we think that because it reminds us, and we don't realize we have this energy signature, that it reminds us of home. And we're used to it. And that's how we end up getting stuck. So if you guys have loved ones and you can't understand why it is that they're stuck in these toxic relationships and why they can't get out of it, a lot of times that's what it is. They're connected to that toxic energy signature that reminds them of their parent or something in their childhood. And that's like really hard to break away from, right? Because it's your childhood. Your childhood shaped and molded you, right? So what we say is we're not our trauma, right? We don't let our trauma define us, but our trauma did shape us into the person that we are today, right? So we end up with someone who reminds us of someone in our childhood, a toxic energy signature. And a lot of times what I heard over the weekend, which I think is very true, narcissistic people have access to us through our childhood wounds, you guys. That's why breaking out of that relationship is so hard. That's why on the outside looking in, you can't understand why it is that this person cannot get away from somebody who doesn't treat them good. Well, let me tell you how that happens, right? Sometimes I feel obligated to finish what I start. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because, like, what? I ain't no quitter. I'm not quitting, right? So what do we do? What do we do, Alfred? We be like, this ain't working. Let me try harder. Let me try harder at this thing that's not even working in the first place, right? That's how we end up stuck, you guys. Because we want to fix them, because we feel like subconsciously, psychologically, if we fix them, then we can fix the relationship that we had with our parent that wasn't what it should have been. And a lot of us had parents that weren't the best parents, right? We weren't raised in the best environment. So what do we have to do as little people? We had to make excuses for our parents. Did we not? Right? Because they're our parents, so we still love them. And they provide for us, but they may not have been the best for us, right? They may have been toxic. They may have been in their distorted selves. They may still have needed to learn things as parents. So that they weren't the best parents for us, right? That shaped us into who we are today, right? Okay, so we got that. So we end up with these people that remind us of the toxic energy signatures from our past. They access us through our childhood wounds, right? We didn't have enough validation because we didn't have enough positive people in our lives speaking positive things into us. Instead, we had people that were negative, right? So it created self-blame. It created, hey, Mr. Ward, it created self-doubt, tons of self-doubt, right? And it created an internal critic. So we criticize ourselves. We criticize our decisions, right? Our internal critic, in turn, blocks out our intuition. Our intuition is our discernment. Our intuition is our knowing, right? That self-doubt also creates illusions. So we looking at it. We know that it's wrong. What we doing? We making excuses. Good morning, Mr. Godfrey. We're making excuses just like we did for our parents. Because who wants to feel bad and think bad of their parents? None of us, right? So we made excuses for them. We made ourselves responsible for their behavior because we didn't know what else to do as a little person. Like, we're like, okay, so if they're doing this, then I must deserve it, or it must be right. So we had to, in our minds, good morning. We had to, in our minds, find places. Hey, good morning. We had to, in our mind, find places for justification for our parents. So guess what, guys? I hear the same thing when people are in toxic relationships. They make excuses for the person that they're with, right? It's a learned behavior. We did it as children. We make excuses for their toxic behavior. So that keeps us there longer. And then we're remembering whenever they first came in and they super duper validated us and they made us feel like nobody else understands me. Hey, good morning. Nobody else understands me like you do, right? It's us against the world. You're my best friend. You understand me like nobody else does. These are all the things that happens whenever they come in and they love bomb us and they basically validate our inner child, right? So when these particular things happen, that is what keeps us in a relationship longer. So if you have people that are in toxic relationships, you don't understand, like, why can't they break free of this person? That's why, because the person accessed them through their childhood wounds, right? And that person is just thinking about the fact that at once upon a time, this person thought I was the best thing since sliced bread, right? Then I got all this inner critic inside of me. So I really don't want to be criticized by anybody. But we don't even realize, thank you for the hearts, or whatever. We don't even realize that this toxic partner is now criticizing us, right? And we're just trying to fix it because we're fixers. We were raised to be people pleasers, right? So we're just trying to fix the problem. We're trying to fix the relationship. Hey, Marcia! Long time no see. we're talking about toxic energy signatures and what gets us stuck in our toxic relationships and our toxic cycles. So Albert said, I was taught as a young man to be responsible for what's mine. Yeah, we were taught to be responsible for what's ours and what's somebody else's a lot of times, right? So we were responsible for their emotions. We made excuses for their behavior. And then we end up in a relationship. So it's not us as mature, knowledgeable adults to break the cycle. Absolutely, Mr. Godfrey. So like I said at the beginning of the broadcast, I am here to be a light, right? Because a lot of us, if we're honest, if we look around, a lot of our families and friends are in toxic relationships, seemingly stuck, and they feel stuck, right? So this is why, because the connection in the cord is a trauma bond, right? It's a trauma bond from our childhood, and that allows us to stay stuck. We have an inner critic inside of us because we weren't validated as children as we should have been. So we have this inner critic within us that creates self-doubt. So even when we know what to do and we know that we should get out of the situation, we allow ourselves to doubt, right? We allow ourselves to talk to other people that gives us advice, and then we're confused, right? Because we weren't raised to honor our feelings. We weren't raised to honor our emotions. So now when it's time for us to make an emotional decision for our best good, we struggle with it, right? So these are ways that we want to get out of our toxic relationships. We want to put in place bulletproof boundaries. Bulletproof boundaries, meaning that we're putting boundaries in place so that this person is not running over us. And a lot of times our relationships lack boundaries. What does that look like? Going through my phone, texting other women, logging into my social media, doing things of that nature. Those are ways of validating your boundaries, right? No one should be going through your phone. Nobody should be logging into your social media. Nobody should be contacting your family, telling them what you did and things like that. Boundary violations. But a lot of times as little people, what happened? Our boundaries were violated. Some of us, a lot of us, those of us that find ourselves in toxic relationships, some of us were raised, in good homes and everything is good and we're secure and all of those things. Hey, TD Bomb. So we're very secure and all of those things, but some of us that were raised and we didn't have the validation that we needed, when we meet these people that make us feel like, oh, they was there for me when nobody else was. They held me down whenever nobody else did. They understood me when no one else did, right? And then we have this empathy for them because normally we're empaths. We have this empathy for them and what it is that they've been through, right? So we make excuses. Hey, good morning, heart me up or whatever. So we make excuses for their bad behavior, just like we made excuses for our parents' bad behavior, right? So that's how it is that we end up stuck in a relationship. A lot of times I hear people aren't happy, but they're not moving out of the relationship because they're allowing the self-doubt and they're allowing their overly active inner critic. Good morning. Their overly active inner critic to snuff out our intuition. So even though we're looking at it and we know that we're looking at something that shouldn't be happening, what are we doing? We're making excuses for it. Good morning, you guys. We're making excuses for their behavior, right? We are taking on all their emotional bullshit like it's our own, just like we had to do when we were little. So now as we get older, we have to recognize those cycles. We have to recognize that, like, yeah, I didn't have the best relationships in my childhood. So that shaped who it is that I am now. And it shapes the decisions that I make in my relationships. And I don't always make the best decisions, right? Then I end up in these relationships that we can call them toxic, we can call them karmic, we can say that we're a person, because some people are good people, right? But we meet them when they're in their distorted state. So they're not really operating like they should be. They still a little on the toxic spectrum of things, right? But a lot of times these people bond with us through our childhood wounds, and that's what keeps us stuck. So what it is that we have to do is we have to put boundaries in place, right? We have to up our self-love. So once we start upping our self-love and putting boundaries in place and saying, hey, You can't do this. You can't violate me in this way. I'm not going to stand for this. Once we start to do that, we can make decisions about whether or not we should stay or go. Either they're going to honor our boundaries, or they're going to continue to try to violate our boundaries and make us feel bad, right? So when your boundaries are being violated, at that point you have to make a decision and say, you know what, this is not serving me. This is not good for me, right? I need to make some moves and some strides to move myself out of this situation, right? Because once you recognize what it is time to make the changes, right? So you can graduate, because on the other side of that toxic relationship is a beautiful relationship, right? Because you have learned a lot. Because you are with those toxic people, toxic cycles, karmic people, to learn a lesson. So guys, I want you to learn the lesson and get out of the shit, right? And typically the lesson has a lot to do with self-love, putting yourself first, putting boundaries in place and not allowing people to violate our boundaries like they did when we were young, right? Not staying connected to people that remind us of home, because what we were raised in was very toxic, right? So we make excuses for people's toxic behaviors. We take responsibility for their behaviors, and we shouldn't, right? But we learn to do that as children because we made excuses for the adults in our lives, right? So now we're making excuses still for the adults in our lives, but we're in toxic relationships, right? So we have to recognize, good morning. So we have to recognize these things. We have to recognize toxic traits in people. We got to up our self-love, because a lot of time that self-love deficiency is what keeps us in relationships that we should not be in. They do not serve us. But at the beginning of the relationship, they came in and they made us feel like we was the man, or we was the woman, right? And because of that, they keep us stuck, because we're always trying to get back to that homeostasis. We're always trying to get back to where it is that we were whenever they came in and just made us feel like we were just this wonderful person, which is what we're looking for, because we didn't have it when we were young. We didn't have enough validation as we were young. So now we're adults and we're not making the best decisions. But like I said, I'm here to be a light in the dark, or whatever. I'm here to be a light in the dark, so that I can alert us to certain things, and we can get out of these toxic relationships, right? We can learn the lesson. Hey, we can learn the lesson. Thank you for the hearts. We can learn the lessons, and then guess what, guys? We can graduate. Graduate meaning we move into a relationship that serves us. Graduate meaning that we are stepping into our abundant life, right? Not our life that is lived with a scarcity mindset, because we know a scarcity mindset will keep us always looking, always needing, always making excuses for other people, and always thinking that there's not anything better out there for us. Like, a lot of us get stuck and we think that, oh, this is how it's always been, so this is how relationships are. This is how women have always been, so this is how all women are. This is how all men are. But guys, that's not the truth, or whatever. Some of us out here, we getting healthy. We getting healthy and we got a lot of love to give, right? We getting healthy and we got a lot of love to give. So, you know, we got to keep working on ourselves. We got to seek the help we need, whether it is therapy. I always say we can Google. There's tons of information on Google, on YouTube, whatever it is you need to do so that you can get to be your very best self, right? We want to put self-love in place. We want to put boundaries in place. And when they start to violate those boundaries, we want to start moving in a different direction, right? If we can't sit down and talk about it and fix it and come to an agreement, then if this isn't serving me, then I need to make my way on out of here, right? So I just want to encourage you guys. A lot of us have been through things as children, and it has shaped us as adults. Trauma has shaped us. So we accept relationships that are traumatic and toxic. But it's because of the way we were raised, right? It comes from attaching ourselves to energy signatures that were similar to those that were in our childhood, whether good or bad. So the person that we're with, they're there to teach us a lesson, right? They're either going to teach us true love, what true love looks like, or they're going to teach us a lesson that's going to build us up and make us strong enough to go out and get the love that we deserve, right? Because there's love for everybody. There's abundance for everybody. But we just have to reprogram our mind, and we have to reprogram our thinking. All right, you guys? So that's all I got for y'all. Thanks for coming on here and hanging out with me or whatever. I'm going to go, let me just scroll through real quick and make sure I didn't miss anybody's comments. Good morning. Thank you, everybody, for coming to hang out with me. I'm sending out love and light. Love and light, you guys. I'm sending it. So let me see. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anybody's comments. How was everybody's weekend? Keep a happy home. I usually turn into a yes man. Ooh. Well, we don't want to be a yes man. Because if being a yes man, normally that's not serving us, right? So we don't want to be a yes nothing unless we saying yes to ourselves, right? Right. What else? What else? What else y'all saying to me? Let's see. Thank you for the compliment. Hey, guys. We don't go nowhere yet. We get stuck. We definitely get stuck. And we definitely look for people to fix, right? Because that makes us feel good. It validates us, right? It gives us that internal validation that we didn't get when we were young. So that's why, that's why we're doing the things that we're doing. But we're learning so we can be better, right? Deaconess Cuddlefoot came on here to hang out with me. And the crazy thing is, a lot of us feel like this person is the person we were meant to be with, because we are just so connected to that toxic energy signature. Like, we just make excuses. We don't even realize what it is that we're in a lot of times until it's too late. But I'm coming to be a light in the dark or whatever. So I'm going to say, get out, get out, get out, get help, go to therapy, right? Let's deal with our childhood shit, because that's affecting us as adults. We want to put boundaries in place, bulletproof boundaries, right? And we want to have definite self-love so we can make better decisions for ourselves, right? We live in an abundant mindset, so we don't feel as if, if I put my boundaries down, if I put my foot down and I make a decision, we're not worried about if they leave. We're not worrying about who leaves our lives, because we know that whatever leaves our lives, it makes room for something else to come into our lives, right? So we don't want to live in fear. I want to encourage you guys to be courageous. We don't want to live in fear, and we don't want to stay stuck in situations that don't serve us, right? I moved away from the toxic place, but it's still hard. Let me go because we weren't. Yeah, it's very hard, because another thing is a lot of us suffer from chronic loneliness, right? So with chronic loneliness, it makes us hard. It's hard. It's hard to get out of relationships. It's very hard, because it's like once you break up with that person, even though you know it was the best thing to do, like now you're plagued with this loneliness that makes you want to get back into the relationship. So that's why we definitely want to seek out help. We want to go to therapy. We want to label our feelings, all of that stuff. Positive self-talk, to reverse that overly, that inner critic is a bad joint, right, y'all? So thanks for hanging out with me. Have a good conversation. More than having sex is a good thing. Yes, definitely great conversation. Great conversation and great sex, right? We love that. Let me see. We have to also research and study ourselves. Very true. So that we can remove our own toxic products. Very true. Right? So when that process happens, you're able to recognize when anything is toxic when anything is toxic and unhealthy. I totally agree, Mr. Godfrey. That is so very, very true. But back to moving on, emotions put you in these toxic relationships, conversations before sex. A lot of times what puts us in a toxic relationship is the fact that they know how to come in and say what it is that we need to hear to validate our inner child. But they change, you know what I mean? Like it's systematic. Like they do it to get us stuck, and then, they change up on us. Or they go back and forth, right? They go back and forth between this love you, I hate you. And it's crazy. The people pleaser in us is just trying to fix them, trying to fix the situation. We sitting up there like, this ain't working. Let me try harder. Right? I know I did. The red flag is the word I love you. I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. If they tell you they love you too soon, definitely. If they coming in like, I love you all early, yeah, love bomb blitz, trying to trap you. If you know who you're dealing with, things with your Yeah, conversations at the very beginning are very, very important, because you can learn a lot about a person. You can learn about their childhood. You can learn about their past and how that affects who they are right now. Like, if they always treated their girlfriends crappy, don't think that they're going to get with you and then all of a sudden, you know, they're going to just treat you nice. Or if they always disrespected women because that's what they were raised in, then don't expect that you're going to meet them and then they're all of a sudden going to stop being disrespectful to women, right? But the fixer in us wants to fix them. The fixer in us wants to take on the challenge of being this different person. The fixer in us wants to try to prove ourselves, right? And that's how we end up getting stuck, because we're trying to prove ourselves to a situation that doesn't even serve us. Toxicity. So being a giver is just what a narcissist will love. Absolutely, they love givers. They love us because we're a light. And they want to suck our light out, and they love that we're overgivers. Absolutely. Yup, we got to make a change. Absolutely. Looking forward to talking to you. Aww, boo. Hey, you guys. You are so beautiful when you look on the camera. Ow, thank you. Watch what you say to people you can't take. I know, right? We need to quit saying stuff whenever we mad and blaming it on the fact that we were mad. Stop hurting people. Because some of those words that you use, y'all, it's hot in in my undisclosed location. It's hot. I'm sweating. But yeah, you guys, so I just want to be a light in the dark, or go after your female friends. Alfred, you is a mess. Cut it out. Cut it out. So good morning, you guys. Thanks for coming on here to hang out with me. I'm about to cut out of here, so if you missed anything that I had to say, go back and watch the replay. Go back and watch the replay and share the video, right? Because we don't talk about mental health enough in the Black community, but we should be, because we got to get to our very best selves. And that means minding our mental health, minding our thoughts, minding what it is that we are thinking. What are you thinking about? You got to think about what you're thinking, right? Because a lot of us got stinking thinking, and that stinking thinking keeps us stuck in situations, right? Because it causes us to doubt who we are as a person. We doubt our worth, and, you know, we find ourselves stuck, and we make excuses for people like we made excuses for our parents. And we got to get better. We got to love ourselves more. We tell ourselves that we don't matter and our feelings don't matter, because that's how we were raised, right? So then we find ourselves in these relationships and we're not getting what it is that we need back, but it's okay, because we never got what we needed, right? And we settle. But I am here to tell y'all, no, 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 no. I want you to go through that relationship. I want you to learn that lesson, because karmic means karma. It means a lesson. I want you to learn that lesson. I want you to get that self-love, right? I want you to build up your self-love. I want you to put bulletproof boundaries in place, right? And when people try to validate your boundaries like they did whenever you were a child, you're going to put your boundaries in place. And if you got to start small, some of us, we got to start small, right? Because this is new. This putting boundaries in place is a new thing. But start small. And when they validate those boundaries, then you have to step back and say, is this serving me? And if it's not serving you, I encourage you to step out of that relationship, step out of that situation. Because on the other side of that toxic relationship, once you learn the lesson, you graduate. And once you graduate, you get the relationship and the love that you want. I believe it, and it's true. We're going to manifest it, right? So I love you guys very, very much. Thank you so much for coming on here and hanging out with me. This is the undisclosed location edition or whatever. Sitting out here sweating on this brick, hurting my booty, hurting my boot cheeks. But I love you guys so very, very much. The woman of the house just opened the door. I love you guys so much. And I will holler at you beautiful, wonderful people on tomorrow. All right, so happy Monday. Have a good day today. Be blessed. Be courageous. Step out. Live your dreams. Embrace your different. Embrace your different. Embrace your different. And know that the universe has your back whenever you make decisions that are serving you for your best good. So be courageous. Don't be afraid. Do what it is that you need to do, okay? I love you guys so very, very much. I will be back tomorrow. I don't know what I'm going to be talking about. Oh, shoot. Alarm going off. I don't know what I'm going to be talking about, but I'm going to definitely be back to give you guys some encouragement and be a light in the dark, all right? So you guys have a good day. I love you so much. Peace.
Joseph, pick up the phone. And see this. Where you at?
See you in LA, you been in Miami. Baby, you been dog, tell me where you stay. Just like I remember, such a pretty face.